here at Voodoo Arts and Music Festival 2018 New Orleans. How you doing? It's great to be here. I'm joined on stage by two members of one of the greatest bands making music today, gentlemen and fantastic artists in their own way. So please officially make some noise for Ben and Marcus from Mumford. Okay, how you doing, fellas?
Very well, mate. How are you?
Yeah, very good, thanks. Good. So we decided to kind of sort of kick this all off in the middle of the field around fans, because we just thought it would be the nicest way for this, new era of the band to start up again, right? I mean, we could have gone and done it in all kinds of places, but to be here around people and to see your bands like this felt like the moment. And I guess the first question is, how do you feel? This is sort of the first thing you've done.
This feels like a real festival.
Yeah.
It's exciting to be. It's been a minute. There's a lot of people who try to get away from the mud and the kind of porta potties and all of that.
Yeah.
This feels good to be out.
And you've been rehearsing in Baton Rouge, right?
We have, yeah, for the last 5 days. We've actually worked quite hard, which is,
Yeah.
it's not, well,
It's saying this is the first time you've actually practiced.
Yes. we never, in the first 8 years of the band, we didn't really believe in rehearsing. We thought it was in some way sort of cheating, but we've suddenly embraced the idea of rehearsing. And I think it's probably because we're really proud of this new record, and we really want to do it justice when we play these songs live. And in the past, we've written in sound checks mostly, for the first 2 records certainly, we've written mostly the new songs we wrote in sound checks with the instruments we had in our hands. And this time we've got to really embrace the studio, and we now want to do justice to the recordings we've done.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And when you hear the album, you'll understand what Marcus is talking about. It really is a huge jump up in terms of what you're capable of and the kind of music that you make. And I wasn't sure, after a while of mine, I wasn't sure whether you guys were going to kind of dial it down. We spoke about this before, whether you were going to actually go further. You've gone a lot further. What was the decision? What made you make that decision? Where did you realize this was the kind of album that you were going to make? Bigger.
I think it was quite early on. Ben probably led it by just saying, I don't think we've done our best work yet. And I remember there's a few times we sat down and discussed songwriting and discussed style and what we wanted to do. Our taste in the band is very wide-ranging. I wouldn't call it broad, because I think we still have some taste there. But it's wide-ranging in that all 4 of us write songs and all 4 of us have different loves. And we cover most genres of music in our musical love lives, probably between the 4 of us. So I think we wanted to be ambitious, not just to make one type of record or just have one genre of music on it. And that meant being quite ambitious in the scope both of writing and recording and producing of the record. So we felt we needed to enlist the help of someone like a really big dog. Yeah. And that was Paul Letworth.
He's a big dog.
He's a big dog, and was fucking amazing. He was absolutely amazing. We presented him with 35 demos a year ago and said, can you try and figure out how to get these all to sit on the same record? And he really embraced that challenge.
There are some surprises on there too. I mean, there's moments, certainly in the middle of the record, there's like a mini suite in the middle of the record without giving too much away, which takes you into certainly a sonic territory you've never gone before.
Yeah.
It's our first attempt at an instrumental.
Yeah.
We've never I guess you have to be pretty confident to try and write a song without lyrics or audible lyrics, and there's a song on this new album that's it's 3 minutes of just instrumental.
It's amazing.
It was very liberating actually when we did that. Paul was so encouraging of just us as musicians. I think he wasn't there to kind of put his thumb on us in any way. He was there to lift us up and just say, you guys have got this, you're ready to make this record now, and that was great. I think he was right, but we feel like we're just kind of stepping into this phase.
Yeah.
And I think it's also, we made a decision early on that we wanted to make an album. We could have made singles, we could have done EPs, we could have done a song a month for 2 years, but we really wanted to make an album because I think we still love the album as a medium, but committing to make an entire album means that you get freedom to make creative choices within that record that you wouldn't get if you were just dropping singles every month. So that led to more expression happening in the studio, and I always thought that's what proper bands do anyway.
Yeah.
and I think we're just coming into our prime, honestly, as a band.
How many people here have seen Mumford and Sons live before? You missed them, right? When they're not on tour.
Yes!
It's kind of hard, knowing that your band is away making music because you have the anticipation of wanting to hear it, but you also want to see them perform live. I wonder from your point of view what it's like when you're not on tour and you take a break from that experience.
We miss you guys massively. We do miss that experience, and we were kind of talking a bit about that a few months ago, and we said the thing that makes these shows so fun is that shared kind of the coming together of all these amazing people and all these individuals, and then the collective that we form every night. And we feel like we're as much of a part of these songs as everyone does on the other side of the PA. And so we put this show together that we've announced this tour recently, and the idea is that show is going to be us right in and amongst. It's our first 360-degree show.
Oh, wow.
Putting the stage in the middle of the arena. And I think it's just going to make it feel, hopefully, more inclusive than ever. And that's our goal with this whole next couple of years. And
Has everybody heard If I Say, the song If I Say?
Yes!
Yes. Probably, I would say, up to this point, my favorite Mumford and Sons song ever, I think. Because I think that it shows the ambition of the album, and you get there. And I think it's really hard to have a song that's as impactful as that lyrically and simple with the message that needs to be said, something so universal but takes you somewhere really dramatically. And production-wise, you guys get there. And you were saying that was a dream, that you wrote that in a dream.
Yeah, it started in a dream, and then it really kind of came into a shape in the studio with Paul and the guys. And I think we like to kind of explore the idea of epic when it comes to the sonic space that a song can live in. And I think where we get to, like you're saying with this song, and you guys will hear it later, we've invited a few special guests to come and bring it to life tonight.
Wow.
And it does kind of like find, I guess, an extra gear when it gets to those bigger moments. And
What time do you need me on stage?
about 9:30.
Okay. Tambourine Man. Who said that? It's a fucking Winston in the background. This is your chance to ask your bandmates a question, Winston. What do you want to ask?
Don't do this.
What do you want to ask?
Oh.
We're gonna get real instruments, boys.
We get a real player.
It's hilarious.
Nuts.
Are you guys actually playing anything you haven't played before on this album? Do you bring anything new to the table?
Yeah, there's quite a lot of new instruments that we get excited by new instruments. We're hoarders, and we like to go out and find new things. And I think every time you get a new instrument, you write something different because you're not stuck in a rut.
Yeah.
Every time I pick up a guitar, I play a G chord. So I'll detune the guitar to a different tuning I haven't used before, and I end up writing something that to me is new, I haven't done before. So there's a song on this record called The Wild, where I set myself the challenge. I bought a few instruments, I set myself the challenge of trying to record every instrument I owned on one song.
How many instruments do you own?
I succeeded.
Congratulations. But it's not really that big a deal if you only own 4 instruments.
Yeah, that's true. There are quite a few. And then Paul Epworth has an unbelievable collection of instruments in his studio. And what's cool about the church studios and where we recorded the record in London is they're all plugged in all the time. So you can, and it's all in one room, there's no separation, there's no sliding doors in between the vocal booth and the control room. So if you're in the room, you're in the record. And also there's no walk of shame from the vocal booth into the control room when you walk in and you've done a take and everyone's on their phones, you're like, fuck, I need to do it again. But everything's always plugged in, so he has this unbelievable collection of basically the best synthesizers in the world, and then some really strange ones that we had never heard of before, never seen before. And they're always plugged in, so if you've got an idea and you want a new sound, you can just run over to the synth station and there's 50 synthesizers all plugged in. So Ben fell in love with a thing called a DX, which is like a Brian, late 70s, early 80s synth. It's just massive. It's like 200 pounds and huge.
A little car. Yeah.
Seriously, it's massive.
Jean-Michel Jarre shit.
Yeah, it is.
Jean-Michel Jarre, I mean, the cool thing is, like I was saying about Paul's attitude, is he was just like, yeah, just try it, go for it. And also he was saying that to everyone, so it wasn't like, oh yeah, there's a keyboard, therefore Ben, you need to go and play it. He was encouraging everyone, and I think when we were trying to figure out the kind of who played what, and we were going to try and write it out on the album notes, we're like, oh, there's no way we can't even remember who played what on this record. So.
Winston even played drums on this record, which is a huge deal because he's never been allowed to, because he can't really count or play in time. So historically, he's not been allowed to play the drums, but on this one, he got in there sneakily.
We're here in New Orleans. It's kind of show one, and we've seen the tour schedule for at least for leg one, and it's insane. And we know you guys are going to go and play this album faithfully. But what does it mean to you to be starting this tour in New Orleans?
This is a place we love. We played here. We really do. We played here. We played here a lot. But we played here on the revival, the Railroad Revival tour, which was which was with Edward Sharpe and the Magnetic Zeros and All-Crow Medicine Show, and it was the last stop on our train journey from Oakland to New Orleans, and it was one of the best shows we ever played, I think, and some of the most fun we've ever had on stage. And this is a place we just really love. And this is kind of a transitional show, just to manage expectations. We fly home. This week we've been rehearsing If I Say, and we're gonna play that tonight. We're gonna play a couple other new songs tonight. But then next week we fly home and we go into a rehearsal room in the middle of England for 2 weeks to try and get the rest of the songs up. And then we start the tour in Dublin the day the record comes out. So we're transitioning in this show into the new show, but there's a lot to come.
Yeah, there is. There's a lot of shows. There's a lot of shows to play, and it seems to me this album is going to take you into even bigger size places as well. And it would, I guess the fact that you're rehearsing as much as you are would suggest you know that, and that's the ambition. The ambition is high around this record right there.
The ambition's higher. I think for now we want to make sure that the arenas feel better than they've ever felt. We've been very fortunate to be able to play in that space.
Because you had a pretty interesting relationship with those type of venues. I mean, that's why you sort of controlled your live experience in the way that you did, right? And you would put your own festivals on and do your own shows. And it seemed to me that you were kind of a reluctant arena band to start with.
We definitely were.
I remember the conversation about Toronto. Our first.
All right, we got some people in Toronto. 66666.
No, it was a few years ago now, but we had the opportunity to play this arena. It was the first ever arena we played in Toronto, and we were like, people just won't feel it. Like we're going to lose that intimacy. We're going to lose that. Like people won't be able to see our faces. You're going to be so far away.
Yeah.
But then actually we realised that we love a challenge, and it suddenly quickly transitioned into being, how do we make this feel like a kind of a very inclusive, like. And actually the energy that came out of those arenas massively heightened the experience of the show, and we enjoy playing with as many people as possible, not because of some sort of like higher status, it's more because it's like heightens, just the songs feel better and more engaged the more people who are there.
Yeah.
So
speaking of people, I sort of feel like we've got this crowd here and they're all listening super attentively, but I sort of feel like I want to know if anyone's got any questions for the band that they want to ask. Oh, right, look at the arms come up.
So there was a bit of a backlash after.
Can we just talk about the fact that you've got Oh wow, amazing!
Happy to join you. Yeah. I guess for fans from Sigh No More and Babel, there was a bit of a backlash of where's the banjo during Wilder Mind. So what place does the banjo have in this new record?
People just love that banjo, man. Just don't want to let the banjo go. It's kind of, I mean, so I guess to go right back, we all grew up playing electric instruments. In fact, I grew up as a drummer. Winston grew up as a heavy metal guitarist. And we all got involved with these acoustic instruments later on, like late teens. And we fell in love with them, and we found them really easy to pick up and play, and it was a very social experience, so you could do it acoustically without much gear and without an amplifier and all this kind of stuff, or a PA system. So we then wrote a bunch of songs on those instruments, the ones we had in our hands, and we loved it. But after our second record, what we didn't want to do was just do the same thing again instrumentally. We felt comfortable going back to the instruments we started on. And I guess we felt like we want to be a band for a really long time, We feel like there's a lot of story to tell around the sound of the band and the lyrics and the music, but we felt patient about that. So we felt like we could do something very different with our third record, which hopefully would open us up to be able to. I remember when we first played Wild of Mine to our booking agent in the States, his first comment was, well, now you guys can do whatever you want. You're not the banjo band anymore. And I don't think it was as calculated as that. It was probably a bit reactionary from us. We were like, look, let's do it without these acoustic instruments in our hands. Let's try and do it without. And, oh, hello.
Hey, come on.
And, well, okay. And then I guess on this record it was different because we felt like, let's just not restrict ourselves at all. Let's use whatever powers we have, whatever kind of instrumentation we have, and let's try and do the best that we can with it, and not put up the same restrictions. So electronic drum machines were suddenly fair game, banjos were fair game, mandolins were fair game, as were DX synthesizers or modular synths. We'd start a percussion track on, like, we have this one 1941 Leedy marching drum, which is huge. We did the whole percussion track for one of the songs on the record just on that. And then a lot of the time, Paul would be cutting up beats on Logic. He just spent a lot of time doing hip hop and was translating a lot of what he'd learned from hip hop into the making of our record on songs like Rosa Sharon and Picture You, which you haven't heard yet, but which is cool. So I guess we felt like, one of the things I feel a lot of the time is how privileged we are to be in the position we're in, with access to instruments for a start, access to some of the best people in the world at what they do, like Paul Epworth or his engineer Riley McIntyre, or Tom Elmhurst, who we mixed the record with, and his engineer Brandon Boss. These guys are like the best in the fucking world at what they do, and we'd be so wasteful not to make the most of that, and to explore beyond the boundaries of our own musicianship, which involved trying to sidechain a banjo, which we hadn't heard done before, and we did a lot on this record. So that's sort of the story of the instrumentation.